Well, here I am at the Municipal Water District headquarters, where today they're having a training session. Anybody connected with the water, from the marinas to the marina workers to everybody, on the QuagggaMuscle. And the main man here that's going to sort of direct it is Bill Zook. He's a contractor for Pacific States Marine Fisheries Commission and the Mussel Outreach and Education Coordinator. As you can see, they have a huge crowd here. About 75 are in this particular class. It starts at 10 a.m. and it'll go to probably about 3 p.m. this afternoon. We're going to have an indoor session right now. I'm just going to do the highlights of it, and then I'll be back at 2 p.m. for the outdoor exhibits on it. So we're waiting for it to start, and the first one will be Bill Zook.
Actually, I'm going to just read a brief paragraph here that I have about him. Bill is a retired fisheries program manager for the Washington Department of Fish and Game and Wildlife. He now works as a contract consultant for the Pacific States Marine Fisheries Commission and is responsible for zebra, QuagggaMuscle outreach and education in the western U.S. With the WDFW, he established Washington's Aquatic Nuisance Species Program in the mid-90s, a program now considered to be a model of the rest of the West. He developed the Watercraft Inspection and Decontamination Training Program in 2004 and has conducted dozens of trainings since. Bill lives and works in Olympia, Washington. So I'd like to give him a round of applause for Bill's history.
Such a good turnout. I want to thank the district and Travis and Mike in particular for inviting me to attend. Can you hear me okay in the back?
Yes.
I hate to use the microphone, but I've got a little bit of an airplane cold kind of thing coming on, so I get a little scratchy at times. I'll try to keep my voice up, but I'm depending on you in the back to raise your hand and signal me if you're not hearing everything I say. A little bit sorry that we don't have a bigger screen to project this for you in the back. We tried to darken it as much as possible so that you can see it. You may be able to move your chairs. Those of you who aren't seated at a table may be able to move some chairs up and get a little closer if you're having a hard time seeing, because this is real dependent. This whole training is pretty dependent on the visuals that you'll be seeing today. I'd never been to Big Bear before this trip, and I'm especially thankful for the invitation to come here because it's a beautiful place, and I'd love to come back. It's very important, as you all understand, in the district, and the marinas here seem to be doing a wonderful job of understanding the importance of this issue, particularly since the proximity that you guys have to the Colorado River and the other infested area, connected waters to the Colorado infested areas in Southern California, and the fact that you're a headwater system. So if it gets introduced here, it's not a matter of moving by watercraft, it's a matter of moving by downstream drift that every downstream area will become impacted eventually. So it's very important. Today's program or training is funded by the Pacific States Marine Fisheries Commission. It's the outfit that I work for, and I'll talk briefly about that in a minute. The Bonneville Power Administration, another curious sponsor of this training, since it's a Columbia River operation, and we don't have mussels in the Columbia River yet. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that provides the major funding for today's training. What we're planning to do today will take about 4 or 5 hours, and it really is designed to be very interactive training. So a lot of the burden falls on you guys to ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question here. So ask any question that you want. Some of the district folks have had some training already. But marina, how many of our district folks, would you raise your hand, people working for the water district? And how about marina operators or marina employees? Anybody else? Are there any federal agency folks here? Fish and Wildlife, Forest Service, any of that? Any other agencies represented besides the press here? Yes.
Lake Arrowhead.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, well, we're going to, again, the time will depend on the questions and the interaction that we have together, and I hope that there's a lot of that, because the best trainings really emulate from a give and take, back and forth between us. We're going to start off watching the educational video that we produced to go along with this training. Some of you, I understand, have seen that video already, so you know, I've seen it probably 100 times, and I get something out of it a little bit every time I watch it. Not very much. Gotta go along with Scott, and Scott's not here anymore, about being honest. But anyway, I think seeing it a second time isn't going to be a big burden on you. So watch carefully. Then I'm going to get into a little bit of there's a lot going on. It's a little bit boring to some people as part of the presentation, but it's good background information, and it's good security for you to understand that you're not in this alone. We're going to, again, really depend on questions, and so we'll set aside some time for questions and answers that have to do with the topics that we discussed early. And then we're going to watch a video on stem to stern watercraft inspection and several types of watercraft decontamination. Again, some of you have already seen that video. You have to pay particular attention to that video because you'll be tested on this. By the way, this course is certified by the 100th Meridian, Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Association of State Boating Law Administrators, a whole list of other groups. So you'll be receiving a certificate for this, and hopefully you'll get agency credit, training credit, depending on those people that work for a state, local, or federal agency. There we go. Forest Service. We were asking if anybody was and then Mike and Travis with the district are going to talk, bring everything that we cover up to that point down to the local level. What does it mean for you here locally? I know you have a very aggressive and ambitious inspection and decontamination program, and you have probably exceed the standards that a lot of most agencies and organizations in the West are now employing. But there are some differences to what you're doing from what I'm going to be talking about, and we need to bring it down to a local level. I'm speaking on a kind of a generic level. This training, I've delivered this training a little over 40 times in 12 different Western states to over 100 different agencies and organizations. So it's impossible to make it specific to any one group, and this is the opportunity to do that. And Mike and Travis were doing that. Then you get a chance. So we've got 4 boats out there that will be seated with fake mussels, and we'll divide you into groups of 4. And this is going to be a Chinese fire drill. Excuse my if I'm not politically correct in that, but normally we try to have about 10 to 12 people per boat. I haven't done a head count, but I think we're expecting 70, and it might be even a few more than that. So we maybe have as many as 20 on a boat. That's going to be a little bit crowded, but we'll talk about some ways that we can work around that. But anyway, you'll be going out of the boat. You'll be given a data sheet, counts for 40% of your final grade. You'll have 25 minutes to 30 minutes out there inspecting to find as many of those seeded mussels as you can on your assigned vessel. And then we'll come back in for the written part of the exam and your certification. And as always, we ask for a course evaluation. Any questions?
Okay, the group's coming outside now. These are the 4 boats, and they have put in some dead quagga mussels in here. The group has been assigned boats, and they're on their way out. You can see there's quite a group, and they'll be coming out and they'll be inspecting the boats themselves. There'll be about 20 per boat as they look at it, and then they have to write it down. And they're going back in and they're going to compare their notes, and then they end up with a test at the end of all of this. And that's pretty cool. So they have a pontoon boat, a Boston whaler, lake patrol boats, and they're inspecting. There's a little Velcro thing that they have to see. So pretty soon we'll get a whole crowd out here. You won't be able to see very much of the boats themselves. But they're learning. MWD is dead serious of keeping the QuagggaMuscle out of this lake. And they're doing everything to make sure that every boat is checked. This year it's going to be a lot different than it was last year. They do have two power washers. That's at the East Lawn Tramp, West Lawn Tramp also. And they get a boat that they just think has some of the QuagggaMuscles or has been anywhere along the Colorado River. The Colorado River from Lake Mead clear down to Yuma is infected with QuagggaMuscles. Every lake, Lake Powell, Lake Havasu, Lake Mojave, all up and down, Lake Mead, of course. And they're all just infected. So particularly any boat coming from Arizona is really important. So as you can see, they're just looking around and they're having to inspect it. And they know how many of the dead mussels have been put on each boat. So when they get back in, they'll be told. They weren't told coming out, but they will be told when they go back in to see if they were able to get every single one. Now, it's not only the boats, but the trailers are just as important because there's a lot of areas on the trailer that the QuagggaMuscles can get. So this is really, really important that they do a very thorough examination. Now, during major holidays like, well, in the Memorial Weekend isn't a big one for boats, but you'll get like the 4th of July, and you're going to get lines of people waiting to get their inspection. And you can see they have blue sheets, and those blue sheets they have has to be filled out. Each boat will have a blue sheet, and it's turned over to the MWD staff, and then the information on each of the blue sheets go into a database, so they know whether this boat has been. This is a lot of extra work for not only the MWD staff, but a lot of work for all of the marinas, all the people working at the marinas, all the people at the launch ramps. I mean, it's going to take an army this year to make sure that no QuagggaMuscles get in here. This is really something, Bill, I tell you.
Yeah, it always impresses me how much people will get down and get dirty to do this job.
Right.
And, you can see they're very enthusiastic about learning exactly what they need to do in order to protect the lake.
And this year, more than ever, I mean, a lot of them don't like it. They say, boy, it's so much more work.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah,
it's too important.
Yeah, the opposite. I mean, if nothing is done and the lake becomes contaminated, the work and the expense and the loss of recreation, the impact on local businesses,
It'll kill us.
Housing values,
Yeah.
everything is dependent on keeping the lake as pristine and clear as
That's
possible.
for sure.
So it is a lot of work, and it's putting a burden on some people that weren't expecting the burden.
Right.
And that's always an issue.
Yeah, they didn't think it'd be this tough this year.
Yeah.
But everything's being checked.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, it's a lot like it's somewhat like the airport inspection process after
sure.
9/11.
Right.
We've all learned to adapt to it. It's a pain.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of a pain, but we've learned to adapt because we believe that it's important. And if you believe that this is important to keep the economy of this area viable, and yeah, we get that. Sheet's not much good without something to write it.
But what a great turnout, too.
Yeah, very good.
So I think you can see, this is your first trip here, and I think you can see that we're ready.
Yes.
The Army is formed.
I have to tell you that I think that the group and under the leadership of the Big Bear Municipal Water District is really taking this issue the way it should be taken, and it looked to me like like they're doing as good a job as anybody I've seen. And I've done over 40 of these trainings in 12 states, to a couple thousand people, to over 100 different agencies involved. And I've never seen a group that's been any more enthusiastic or
great, thanks.
better prepared.
Good. We appreciate you coming down too.
Yeah,
you're the expert.
I'm glad I did, because I had never been to Big Bear.
Yeah, I know it. And you'll come back someday.
I will come back. It's very similar to my favorite place in the world, which is Lake Tahoe.
Sure.
It's just the other end of the Sierras, I guess.
Right. We're having a lot of problems too down in the like the San Joaquin Valley. I don't know if it's ever going to get to Salton Sea or anything, but we've got the aqueducts coming from the Colorado River coming in, and boy, that Colorado River is saturated, just invaded by all the mussels.
And every connected waterway that takes water out of the Colorado River for water supply of any type, or recollection and redistribution of water for water supply purposes, all of those waters are affected. And that's what can happen if mussels were to get into Big Bear Lake, because it's at the head end of the drainage. It would infect everything downstream.
That's right.
It doesn't take boats to do that.
And we let water out of here all the time, daily.
And the larvae are free floating, and they're carried by water currents. So all of those areas would be affected. There's not a thing we can do about it.
Right.
The boats are the only the major other way that they move from one watershed to another watershed. They have to have an assist by boaters or recreational equipment or construction equipment people constructing marinas or something like that. Sometimes that barges come from different areas. Those barges could be carrying the mussels. So it has to have some help to move from one water to another, unless it's a connected waterway.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
We're ready.
I thought we lost you.
No.
We had technical problems with the video.
I know. Well, I've got the video, and I'm going to show it.
Okay, great.
So I'll show it on Channel 6. What everybody saw here today.
Good.
And thanks for all your advice.
Do you have a card?
Well, there you have it. This is all down towards the end of this long training session. Started at 9 a.m. this morning, and it's going to be about 3 or 4 o'clock before they get out. Right now it's about 2:30, and this is right on schedule of them inspecting. You can see they're really getting down. They're doing everything. They're feeling anything that they can. So anyway, it's a lot of extra work, but by gosh, it's worth it. We've got to save our lake. That's it. Now don't go away. I'll be back after these commercials.